In a village in the Upper East region of Ghana, where the sun rises and beams with expectation, painting the thatched roofs in shades of gold, Mrs. Akolgo Atipoka walked briskly along the red dusty road. Her slippers slapped against the earth as she made her way to visit her elder sister, Mabila, who had just returned from Ivory Coast after 14 long years. Suddenly, her steps faltered. Ahead, she saw a woman, the one to whom she owed money. Fear rose inside her like water boiling over. Her heart pounded as if it would burst from her chest. Without thinking, she darted into the nearest compound house, hoping to hide. But there, two fierce German shepherds lunged from the shadows. Their barks tore through the quiet like war drums. Mrs. Akolgo Atipoka screamed, spun around, and dashed back into the blazing sunlight. The woman had seen her. She stormed forward, her wrapper flaring like an angry flag, and grabbed Mrs. Akolgo Atipoka's arm. "You will pay me today," she shouted, her voice sharp as a whip. Mrs. Akolgo Atipoka fell to her knees, dust swirling around her, and begged for more time. But the woman refused, threatening to haul her to the police. At that moment, Atipoka's teenage son, Atimbila, appeared on the road, his schoolbag bouncing on his back. Seeing his mother on the ground ignited a fire in his chest. He charged forward, tore his mother from the woman's grip, and shoved the woman so hard that she crashed to the ground. Mrs. Akolgo Atipoka gasped. She helped the woman up, apologizing again and again. Then she turned to Atimbila and slapped him so hard that the sound cracked like a gunshot. He stumbled backward and fell into the roadside gutter. The woman glared, muttered words that chilled them like a cold wind, and walked away, her figure fading into the haze. 5 years passed. Atimbila had completed senior high school and gained admission into the University of Cape Coast, where he pursued a B.Ed. in mathematics. The ocean breeze from the Gulf of Guinea often swept through the lecture halls, and the salty air carried with it the smell of fish from the harbor. Life at the university was busy, lectures, tutorials, assignments, but Atimbila remained his playful, happy-go-lucky self. One warm evening during a campus fellowship, a visiting preacher suddenly paused his sermon and looked straight at him. "Young man," the preacher said, pointing as though he could see through him, "years ago you wronged a woman who cursed you. Since that day, your spirit has been exposed, like a house without a roof." Atimbila froze. The memory of that dusty village road, the angry woman, and his mother's slap flashed before his eyes. "What must I do?" he asked quietly. "You must surrender your life to God," the preacher replied, his voice grave. "Otherwise, traps will keep finding you, and you will fall into them one by one." But Atimbila only laughed later with his friends. "If I give my life away," he joked, "what life will I have left to live?" After graduating with a second-class upper, Atimbila was posted to teach at Tanga Senior High School in Bolgatanga, the regional capital of the Upper East region. The bustling town was a world apart from his quiet village. Motorbikes zipped through the streets, traders called out their wares in the open market, and the air smelled of roasted groundnuts and smoked fish. Atimbila arrived at the school with a head full of dreams. He wanted to raise the school's standard. He introduced an English-only policy, though the students struggled to obey. "Your eyes are red to me," one would shout, meaning, "You are jealous." "This is my yours," another cried, meaning, "This is mine." Their mistakes amused the town but frustrated Atimbila. His cane became a constant companion, its whistle through the air striking fear into the students. Soon, a group of students began meeting secretly in a thick bush behind Tanga Senior High School after classes. The grass rustled like snakes, crickets chirped in chorus, and the evening sky glowed orange as they formed a small circle. "Student witches," their leader cried. "We are masters," the rest answered, their voices rising like an eerie chorus. "If you punish us by day," the leader hissed, "we will punish you by night," they chanted in unison. Atimbila, who had ignored the preacher's call years ago, was spiritually unprotected, like a man walking barefoot on thorns. One hot afternoon, Lariba, a quiet girl with eyes like watchful moons, was sent by Atimbila to buy him food. She spat into it before bringing it back, her face as innocent as morning dew. Atimbila ate heartily, licking his fingers as the sun dipped below the horizon. 3 days later, he developed an unquenchable thirst that only alcohol could satisfy. Soon, the once respected teacher was staggering through Bolgatanga drunk, his shirt hanging loose, dust sticking to his sweaty face. Students laughed and pointed. "Sir has turned into a clown," they whispered. Mrs. Akolgo Atipoka, heartbroken, took her son to a renowned prophet. From the moment they entered the prophet's compound, the air felt thick, heavy with the scent of burning incense and earthly herbs. Candles flickered as shadows danced on the walls. As the prophet began to pray, Atimbila's eyes rolled, and visions came upon him. Dark clouds swirled above, and grotesque, shifting shadows hovered over him, writhing like living smoke. Hysterical laughter, high, piercing, and unholy, echoed around the room, as if the very walls were mocking his torment. At times, the shadows seemed to form distorted faces with gaping mouths, leering and whispering threats of ruin. The prophet's voice rose above the chaos. "You see this, child? This is the curse that was cast long ago. The woman you wronged and your mother's slap exposed you. Your spirit has been left open to the dark. These demons have been feasting upon your weakness ever since." Atimbila writhed on the mat, sweat pouring down his face, tears streaming from his eyes. The shadows lunged, hissing and screeching, reaching out as if to pull him into the black abyss. But the prophet did not falter. Chanting, he waved his hands, tracing holy symbols in the air. The laughter grew louder, grotesque and frantic, yet the power of the prophet's prayers pressed against it. Streams of golden light shot from the corners of the room, hitting the dark spirits and making them writhe, twisting into smoke before dissipating with screams that shook the rafters. Hour by hour, Atimbila's body relaxed, the shadows dissipated, and the suffocating cloud lifted. When the last echo of unholy laughter died, he lay still, gasping, drenched in sweat but free. His eyes, once glazed with darkness, now held clarity and fear for what he had endured. It was the first true night of deliverance in his life, a rebirth marked by terror, holy light, and the reminder that spiritual neglect can summon nightmares beyond imagination. Weeks later, the students struck again. This time, they sent Asibi, a girl with mischief in her smile and a voice as soft as fresh shea butter. On a quiet Saturday morning, when the usually noisy lorry station was nearly empty and goats slept under the neem trees, Asibi knocked softly on Atimbila's door. "Sir, can you help me with my homework?" she asked sweetly. Inside, the room was warm and still. A faint smell of chalk dust and kerosene lamp smoke lingered in the air. Asibi sat on the wooden chair, swinging her feet, while Atimbila crouched beside her to explain a math problem. Outside, a faint drumbeat floated from the distance, but inside, silence grew heavy. The conversation turned light, then careless, until Atimbila's guard fell like a broken fence. From that day onward, something dark seemed to overtake him. Atimbila became restless, pacing his room at night, sweating as though chased by invisible shadows. He began seeking out women with a hunger that shocked even his friends. He chased young girls around the school compound, sending them on unnecessary errands just to watch them walk away. He started sneaking into the girls' dormitory when everyone had gone home, rummaging through their belongings. Once, he found a piece of a girl's underwear left on the washing line and brought it to his room, sniffing it as though trying to inhale the person's soul. Soon, whispers spread through the school and the town. "That teacher is no longer the same man who first came here. Have you seen how he stares at people's daughters?" He stopped preparing lesson notes. His handwriting in the class register grew careless, and his once crisp clothes were now stained and wrinkled. At night, he prowled around the village, standing behind bathrooms, peeping through holes, listening to the sound of running water, and giggling to himself. Atimbila's transformation was now complete, from a respected teacher to a shadow of his former self. Soon, he was sneaking through the village at night like a thief, peeping where he should not, his dignity long gone. His downfall came when he harmed a 9-year-old girl, the daughter of a police officer. The sirens wailed, villagers poured out of their homes to see the teacher led away in handcuffs. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison, where his once bright future withered like a tree in drought. Behind bars, Atimbila had ample time to reflect, but remorse was slow to settle in. Days blurred into nights, the clang of metal doors marking the passing of time. He thought of his mother, Mrs. Akolgo Atipoka, and the stern preacher who had warned him years ago. Yet, it was the faces of the students, the girls he had wronged, that haunted him most. Their innocent eyes seemed to accuse him, unyielding and silent. Letters from his family were scarce. Mrs. Akolgo Atipoka had aged, her hair now streaked with grey, her once spry movements slowed by worry and sorrow. She prayed for him daily, begging God to touch his heart, but the village whispered that some things, once broken, could never be mended. In prison, Atimbila tried to fill the void with reading and reflection. Mathematics problems became his companions again, though their numbers felt hollow without the laughter of his students or the warmth of human connection. Slowly, the fire of ambition that had once driven him began to rekindle, this time tempered with the ashes of regret. And far away, in the Upper East Village, life went on. Students came and went, the sun rose and fell, and the wind carried whispers of caution to every young teacher who dared to forget the delicate balance between authority, respect, and morality. Atimbila's story became a lesson in the village and beyond, a warning that talent and opportunity, when coupled with pride and disobedience, could crumble into tragedy. The preacher's words echoed louder than ever: "Surrender your life, or life will surrender you." Atimbila's journey serves as a stark reminder of the delicate balance between talent, opportunity, and responsibility. It tells us that even the brightest minds can falter when pride, negligence, and moral weakness take hold. The story warns that ignoring guidance, whether from elders, parents, or spiritual mentors, can leave one vulnerable to forces beyond comprehension, whether they be literal curses, societal consequences, or the metaphorical shadows of our own misdeeds. It also teaches the importance of discipline and respect. Atimbila's early disregard for authority, his mockery of rules, and his indulgence in youthful arrogance opened doors to disaster. The tale highlights that every action carries consequences, and what seems minor at first, a slap, a slight, or a moment of anger, can ripple outward and shape an entire life. Moreover, the narrative underscores the danger of succumbing to temptation. Atimbila's pursuit of pleasure, his exploitation of those weaker or more innocent, and his eventual moral decay show how unchecked desires can consume a person, destroying not only their future but also the lives of those around them. The story is also a testament to the power of intervention, guidance, and repentance. The prophet's deliverance scene reminds us that acknowledgement of one's faults and seeking help can restore clarity, but the timing matters. Delay can make the path back much steeper. Finally, it is a cautionary tale for the community as a whole. Moral vigilance, accountability, and respect for others are not mere virtues but safeguards that protect both individuals and society from tragedy.